Tonight at 5:30, an all-new Defenders investigation is uncovering alarming results about a system meant to protect children. For weeks now, our team has been digging into the number of reported child abuse and neglect cases at the Department of Social Services. Listen to these numbers. In Mecklenburg County, we found out that about 40% of the time, reported abuse is never investigated by DSS. Since 2015, there has been a dramatic rise in the number of complaints about child abuse or neglect, with more than 18,000 just last year. But out of those, just over 11,000 were investigated by the agency. We also checked the numbers for South Carolina DSS. According to the latest numbers there, that agency investigated about 67% of reports from July of 2017 to July of 2018. Defender Alex Shabbat is taking a deeper look at the situation, at least here in Mecklenburg County. So, Alex, the question tonight, do we know the reason so many reports are not investigated?
Well, we've learned some reports are not investigated because of who is doing the abuse, and that's because of a state law that some now want to change.
A snapshot only captures one moment in time, and tragically, this smiling face does not reveal the bigger picture.
System is broken!
But these protests at DSS offices do.
It breaks my heart.
After 3-year-old Jordan Dumont was murdered in Gaston County by her mother's boyfriend, who can be heard in this 911 call.
I don't know where my daughter is. I can't find her anyway.
Social workers visited her home about half a dozen times leading up to her death, her father making this powerful promise.
Try to change some laws.
But more than 2 years after she was murdered, our Defenders team uncovering how other children could potentially be at risk. Just one county over in Mecklenburg, we found many reports of child abuse and neglect are never investigated by the Department of Social Services. Their investigators burdened with a workload that is double what's recommended by the state.
Our investigators have a caseload of an average of 21 cases.
But we learned a different reason some cases could be slipping through the cracks. Bob Simmons, a child rights advocate, says North Carolina law limits the ability for DSS to investigate if the offender is not legally defined as a caretaker.
A boyfriend who's coming into a house who under the law is not a caretaker.
Which he says could help explain these numbers we obtained from 2018. Out of more than 18,000 reports of abuse or neglect in Mecklenburg County, DSS only investigated about 11,000. That means about 40% were not investigated.
Do you think North Carolina is doing a good enough job of protecting children?
I would say no state in the union's doing a good enough job to protect children.
The narrow definition of caretaker is a gap in the law, and it needs to be fixed.
So we brought our findings to State Representative Chaz Beasley.
If our current statutory definition does not reflect the fact that people live in all kinds of relationships, we got to fix it.
Under current law, Simmons says police can charge a child abuser with a crime, but DSS won't necessarily investigate the family as a whole. The offender is not a caretaker, and that allows the cycle of violence to continue.
The environment really doesn't change.
In the Gaston County case, the boyfriend, William McCullen, was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison, but justice came too late to save Jordan's life.
And we should say that anytime you think a child is in immediate danger, the first call is to police, because the top priority is getting that child out of immediate danger. In Charlotte, Alex Shabbat, NBC Charlotte.